Hey guys, so today's video is a mini tea where we go over a few things that happen on the internet. There's actually not much happening on the internet right now, which is good and bad, I guess. Like bad because I have no content to film, and then good because I guess people are not messing up as much, which is, you know, how things should be in reality. So, social media, second channel in the description, along with any links or anything like that. Just wanted to pop in and say that today's video is actually sponsored by Raycon. The deal is you can go on buyraycon.com/Angelika Oles to get 15% off your first order, but now let's get into what I'm actually offering you guys. So, Raycon is selling these everyday E25 earbuds, which have amazing sound, 6 hours of playtime on one charge, amazing Bluetooth pairing, they're super compact and discreet. There's a great fit and noise isolation because of the different rubber bits that you can pop in there. There's multiple options. I'm sure you can find something that fits your ears just right. Probably the best part is that they are half the price of any other premium brand, with definitely more colors to pick from, and they also sound just as amazing. But now on top of that, they also have a 45-day return window, so if you guys don't like them, you can send them back within 45 days, which is amazing. So like I said, go on buyraycon.com/Angelika Oles so you can get 15% off your first purchase, and then we can have matching earphones. Now let's get back into the tea. We have the first thing, which I heard from Spillsesh, because I'm actually not like too in tune with some YouTubers, and then just by watching a few fellow drama channels, I'll come across stories that I never would have come across if it wasn't for them talking about it. So for example, the Dolan Twins, I never watched their content. I don't think I follow them on anything. So I'm just not kind of aware of the things that they are doing or the things that are happening in their lives. The Dolan Twins recently had Ryan, one of their old school friends, basically just like live in the house with them, and they've recently filmed like a video where they put him on blast. It just put him in like a very uncomfortable situation, because what happened was a fan, I guess, messaged Ryan about something, just saying like, hey, like I don't know, like I enjoy your content or something, and he sent 2 hearts back. They basically put him on blast and were like, no, you can't do this, this is like not okay. And then they changed the title of the video a few times, and then I believe they have now taken the video down, and people were kind of upset about the way they treated him, because it just feels like a non-issue to reply to someone's comment or someone's message. Like if YouTubers have DMs, sometimes they'll reply to them, sometimes they won't, sometimes they'll heart comments. It just seems like a little bit of a non-issue, and it just shows how paranoid they are, and the fact that this is like an old friend of theirs and they can't even trust him enough to reply to messages with just 2 hearts. But at the same time, there is that thing of like, you never know what someone is actually like, and to have people messaging your fans can be a little bit scary, mainly when they live with you and then I guess they see stuff that you don't put out on the internet. It can be a little bit scary, but I guess it just shows that maybe they don't trust him as much as they probably should for someone that lives with them. The next story is Sisters Apparel, which is James Charles's merch brand. It's having some issues with, I guess, deliveries. So whenever he now posts a picture on Sisters Apparel or any other account to do with merch, there are many comments saying that they haven't received their last drop, which I guess there was the butterfly drop and then the tie-dye drop, I believe. So people are not receiving any of those, and they are pretty angry because it's been, you know, months now since those drops, and he's now dropping a new thing but not fulfilling orders from the past, and people are just wondering like, hey, when are we getting our orders? Now you're announcing a whole new collection, but we still haven't received our old stuff, so it'd be kind of nice to get that before we order another collection. That's been kind of an issue, and apparently he's not responding. A few of his pictures on Instagram now have limited comments where like only, I guess, approved comments go through. You know, there's drama with the new collection now, which is the color block collection, while there's also some drama to do with past collections because people are now buying this collection without ever having received their previous collection. So it's just kind of like, this needs to be resolved pretty quickly. That way, you know, we won't have any more of those issues. The next story is Gabby DeMartino recently posted a pretty problematic, I guess, TikTok where she did a friend income tag, which I spend hours of my time on TikTok, and let me tell you, not once have I come across this TikTok. Maybe it's just not like my For You page content. You know, everyone's For You page is different. Maybe mine is just not this, but I haven't seen anyone ever really talking about it, and I haven't seen any of the big YouTubers do it, because you'd think if it was like a big trend, people would be doing it, like big YouTubers would be doing it, and then you'd hear about it, right? But no one did it. It's a tag where she sits in the car and then she asks a few questions like, oh, what's your job? How much do you spend a week? How much do you spend on food? So on and so forth. And the answers between the two girls are very different. So for example, Gabby says she's a YouTuber, the friend says she's a secretary. Gabby says she spends about $9,000 a week. Friend says she spends about maybe $100 a week or something like that. Gabby spends, I think it was $350 to $400 a week on food because she has like a personal chef. And then the girl spends maybe $50 to $100 a month, I think she said, on food. Then like what bags they have and what shops they like to go to. just stuff like that. And people were really upset. One, because some people were kind of upset about her spending $9,000 a week. She kind of said that to sensationalize the amount, like to make it like $9,000 a week without ever clarifying what it was in the video, because it was like supposed to be like quick fire rapid questions. In reality, I'm assuming, and she did clarify this, she employs a lot of people. Now, most YouTubers, when they get to a certain point, Twitch streamers, that kind of thing, they end up employing a lot of people because they make so much money and they have so many tasks on hand that are not even to do with making videos, just like behind the scenes stuff, like managers, agents, editors, social media stuff. Like, it all requires a different person. So $9,000 a week for someone who probably makes a bunch of money isn't that crazy, considering most of that is probably going to employing people, paying, like I said, for editors, that kind of a thing. So it sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure, I'm hoping, not a lot of that is going towards silly things like, you know, handbags and clothes. That most of that is probably going towards kind of investing back into the YouTube channel, which at the end of the day is a good thing. You should be investing back into your main source of income so that then makes more money. Like, the more money you put into it, the more money you get out of it. And the better the content is, so on and so forth. You know, because it was like rapid fire questions, there's not much explaining. So then it does come across a little bit like, oh, okay, you spend $9,000 a week. What do we do with that information now? And it also came across as very like, look at me, I'm the rich friend, and here is my poor friend. It was really weird. You know, the girl did specify, the friend, she was like, I'm okay with this, like before the video started, but it's just kind of like, it's a weird concept to basically put your friend on blast for not making as much money as you. Then she came out and filmed another TikTok where she clarifies that this whole thing was basically a lie. Like, the money that she spends is true, and then she clarified what she spends that money on. But the friend isn't a secretary. She actually is employed by Gabby, I think. So this whole thing was a lie. It was just a bit of a weird concept. It was kind of like, oh, look at me, I make so much money. And then she actually, in that clarification, then also spoke about all the money she donates. And then people were kind of iffy about like, oh, so now to save yourself, you're trying to basically do the whole like, I donate a lot of money and I help my friends pay off a house. And then it just became this whole like trying to justify the money that she spends, when in reality, YouTubers don't have to justify the money they spend as long as they just basically don't do this. Like, don't do a tag basically saying, oh, I spend $9,000 a week. This challenge could have been done a bit differently, where she was like, I spent $9,000 a week on this. Like, you know, like personal budget videos, like finance videos on YouTube. Isn't it Graham Stephen? He does reactions to like Millennial Money and those kind of channels where they do personal finance, budgeting videos where they're like, this is how much I make, this is how much I save, this is how much I spend on rent, and I find those videos super intriguing because I'm so nosy. I love to know how much money people make. I want to know how much you're spending, and I want to know what you're spending it on desperately now. So she just did a video which was like how I budget my money. I think that would have come across much better and had like a very similar impact of like, wow, she makes a bunch of money, but she also spends money on these things. And then it would have been justified, because it was a video of like, you know, it was a minute-long video where you can't really explain much. This whole like, oh, I spent like $9,000 a week. It just came across really tone deaf. So yeah, this was a really weird video. I'm glad she took it down because it's kind of weird. So recently, obviously, like I mentioned, the Sisters Apparel thing, James Charles has been in some hot water with H3H3, Ethan and Gila because of their brand called, well no, Gila's brand called Teddy Fresh. Why did I just stumble on that? Teddy Fresh and James Charles's merch, like New Sisters merch, which is Color Block. Right after I filmed that video, he put out DMs, which I then kind of quickly inserted into the video. But then after I already published the video, he also then made a podcast to do with that video, and then people left that link in my comments. Oh, I also wanted to add, I have a bunch of comments on my channel, about like 5,000 comments in spam, and then another few thousand in held for review. And the common thing that I'm seeing is one, links. Links get put in held for review straight away because links can lead to scams and people could, you know, get scammed. And they also just, yeah, they can be viruses, anything. So links usually end up in held for review. So if you don't have to put a link into your comment, don't do it, because chances are it's going to end up in held for review or spam, and then I probably won't get to it because there is literally thousands of comments in there. Two, what I've realized is comments that are full of swear words tend to be put into held for review. So if you guys want the best chance for me to see your comment, refrain from swearing, because what happens is it does get put into held for review because it's kind of seen as like a vulgar comment and the system doesn't really know what to do with it, so it just puts it in held for review, and then I have thousands of comments that I'm never going to get through. So if you guys want the best chance for your comment to be seen by me, don't put links, don't put timestamps, those tend to get held for review, and don't put any swear words or any like really edgy kind of like content, anything that I don't say in my videos because I'm scared I'm gonna get demonetized. Don't say that in your comment, and then we'll be good. Also, people try to get around it, and instead of swear words, they do the whole like star asterisk thing. Yeah, that also the system catches it because it's kind of like a common thing to, instead of swear words, put stars, so that also gets caught out. So if we could refrain from swearing, then that would mean I get to see more of your comments and actually read your opinions about the topics. I literally recently realized that, and I was like, oh my god, thousands of people, their opinions are missing because they got very passionate and heated about a topic, which is understandable. And then obviously the system then caught that and put it into held for review. So if we can refrain from any edgy content in the comment section, then I'll actually get to read your comments. People did leave links, which I did see in like the top of held for review. I was like, oh, okay, he filmed a podcast on this. And they actually did a separate clip of this. So I just watched the clip about the James Charles situation. So I just wanted to go over what was said in the podcast. The title of the video was Did James Charles Steal Our Design? And at the time of me watching it, it was on about 6.8 thousand likes and 300 dislikes, which is very average, just like very good reception to a video. Now they go over stuff like, I'm not going to say who said what because I didn't write that in my notes. I just wrote what was said, and I think that's just easier to get through because they did both kind of like bounce off of each other, so it'd be kind of difficult to say who said what. So they said that they didn't want any drama, and they actually did try to solve this privately. So people's main criticism of the whole situation was, why didn't Ethan try to resolve this privately? Why did he have to make it public? And matter of fact is he did. He DM'd James Charles, and then he didn't get the response that he wanted, so then he decided to make it public, which people still have an issue with. But that's just down to opinions, whether you think it was okay for him to make it public or not. So he didn't want to make it public. He actually tried to do it privately. They've been ripped off before by brands like Zaful, like one of those, Boohoo, what they called like Shein brands. So he's kind of been hurt by this before, but more because it's a fellow YouTuber. So he didn't really mind it when it was those like fast fashion brands that end up selling all the same stuff, because he was like, that's, people know the difference between Zaful and Shein and Teddy Fresh. But the fact that it was a fellow YouTuber who has gone through this before, it hurt more, which is why he spoke up. He also said that they didn't claim to own color blocking, but they were mainly talking about the color setup. So he wouldn't have minded if they also did color blocking as long as the color scheme wasn't the same. To add on top of that, I actually went on the Teddy Fresh website. I'm gonna say this, drama is the best marketing. Drama, if you get yourself into drama, you're bound to sell merch, you're gonna get more views, you're gonna get more subs. It's just how life works. Because all of this drama started, and I decided I'm gonna get myself some Teddy Fresh color block hoodies because I really like the look of them. Now I went on the website, and sad part is, right, so I'm probably gonna have to pay customs on it anyway, but they only have free shipping to America over a certain amount. So what I decided I was going to do is just buy a bunch of hoodies at once, so that I don't have to make many different orders and pay customs on all of those orders. And I liked a few of the color schemes, but I had one favorite, and that one favorite was the only one that wasn't in my size because it was out of stock. So until that hoodie comes back in my size, I'm not getting any of them. But as you can tell, drama clearly works. It sells, right? Because I didn't know what Teddy Fresh was before this, and now I'm willing to spend, what is it, like $85 per hoodie. I was going to buy like 4 or 5 hoodies. So clearly this works. But what I also was going to say is it's kind of difficult because they've covered a lot of bases with their color schemes. Now also, James could have still done those color schemes, just put it a different way. So the whole situation was because the yellow was in the exact same spot, the pink was in the exact same spot, the blue was in the same spot. So if they had just like switched it around a little bit, there would have been no issue, right? So overall, when they mentioned TikTok, James Charles has promoted his merch on TikTok, and it has over like 60 million views of promo. They also mentioned that the DMs from James Charles were kind of flippant and rude, because he was like, oh, well, you don't own color blocking anyway, so like, what, who cares? So they said they were kind of like not okay with that. Then apparently Ethan said, they tried to resolve it in DMs, and James said to Ethan that he'll speak to the team, but then he didn't get back to him for 3 days, and that's when Ethan made the whole situation public. Now, they also mentioned that in the DMs, James Charles basically admitted that it's a ripoff, but it was the team, and that he wasn't aware that they were ripping off another company. Now, what they don't agree with is the fact that Lorraine, one of James Charles's friends, actually wore Teddy Fresh around him. So it kind of seems a little bit strange that James wouldn't have seen Teddy Fresh when one of his friends wore it around him on a regular basis. But yeah, as a whole, they're not suing. But also what they mentioned was the Wet n Wild situation, which I didn't have time to mention in my last video because, like I said, I posted the video and then after that all the public tweets came out. But they mentioned how a year before this, James had his artistry palette with Morphe, and after he released the big one, they announced the mini one, and in between the big and the mini one, Wet n Wild basically copied his color scheme and released the same palette. And he went on this big rant about the fact that, there are only so many color combinations, so this can't be a coincidence. And it kind of sounds like this situation, doesn't it? It's kind of like, well, there are, so many color like setups. This one's oddly similar. So I guess there is a bit of hypocrisy there, where if someone steals something from James, he got kind of mad about it, but then James stealing something from someone else was okay, if that makes sense. But anyway, regardless of all of that, both of them will sell a bunch of hoodies. Teddy Fresh is going to get the promo now because of the drama, and James is still going to sell to his fans because his fans are not buying it for the design, they're buying it because it's James's merch, right? So there's the difference. The next story for today is that Trisha Paytas went on her podcast and basically trashed everyone. So she trashed Jaclyn Hill, Addison Rae and her mum, Tana Mongeau. Now let's get into it. So what happened was she goes off on Jaclyn Hill and says that apparently Jaclyn Hill went to John Hill, right? You know when there was that, this is such a confusing story. You know when there was that situation, a blip in time, where John Hill and Trisha Paytas were doing a thing on everyone's timeline and on Instagram stories, and they were like dating-ish? Yeah, that happened. So apparently Jaclyn Hill went to John Hill and said that Jeffree Star said that Trisha Paytas and John Hill are trash, right? And now Trisha Paytas is mad at Jaclyn Hill for that, even though Jeffree Star was the one that said it to Jaclyn Hill, and Jaclyn Hill just went to John Hill to say it, which is weird. I don't know why she would be mad at Jaclyn Hill for that. She mentions the whole hairy lipstick situation, the fact that Jaclyn Hill rarely posts, so the fact that she only comes back to basically sell stuff and the stuff is usually subpar is like a shitty thing. So she goes over that. She also speaks about the fact that Jaclyn Hill cheated on John, which we have no proof for, so I'm not even going to comment on that, but apparently she cheated on John, and that she's dating his best friend, which is like, you know, there's so many men in the world. That's what she said. She was like, there's so many men in the world and you went for his best friend. Then she goes on to Tana Mongeau and mentions Tana Mongeau's apology and says how bad it was and how she doesn't even know exactly what Tana Mongeau was apologizing for because she never really made that clear. And the other person on the podcast said that, I think it's Trisha Paytas' sister, said that without any background knowledge, you watched Tana Mongeau's apology video and you just weren't aware of like what happened, you wouldn't know what she's actually apologizing for because she never really said it. So people have an issue with that. Then she mentions Addison Rae and her mum. So she's basically saying that the situation between Addison Rae and her mum is kind of cringe considering how like included and involved Addison Rae's mum is. Like the fact that she's hanging out with like David Dobrik, and when she drops off Addison Rae at her friends, she like sticks around and she does like the WAP challenge and she does like all of the dances on TikTok. She finds it kind of cringe, and I think, you know, whether we think it's cringe or not is one thing, but another thing is they're increasing the income in the household. So before it was just Addison Rae making money, right? And now they've essentially doubled the money because now her mum is also making money. So regardless of cringe or not, they're essentially just trying to make more money for the family, which I completely understand in a way. Like, yeah, it's cringe. It's not like I'm going to follow her mum on TikTok, but at the same time, it's like financially it's a very smart decision. Addison Rae and her mum also have a podcast. It's like a whole thing. I think they're just very close, and I think they just have that kind of a relationship where it's not embarrassing for them, and that's okay. The next thing is Tana Mongeau is actually still partying. So, you know, she put on her Instagram story when she was apologizing for stuff, saying, partying and going to any social gatherings during a global pandemic was such a careless and irresponsible action on my behalf. I fully hold myself accountable for this and will be staying inside. Actions like this don't deserve a platform, and I want to fully apologize and be better than this. I'm sorry. While Erica and I were referring to past drama in our video, the topic no longer matters. I need to be a better example in person. And then there's this picture of her being at someone's birthday party, and we know that because the balloons in the background look exactly the same as pictures from the party. So she was at a birthday party. Cool. The next thing is Tana Mongeau also posted an Instagram story where she gonna film an explanation video for her apology video, because her apology video now I believe has over 100,000 dislikes. So now she's gonna film an explanation off the apology video, when in reality the apology just should have been the explanation. I don't know. The next thing is, I recently spoke about Patrick Starr and his review of Rare Beauty, which he got a lot of kind of crap for because people said he was kind of biased, he didn't really give it a fair shot, he tried to judge it based on his makeup style, which that wasn't the case. He should have just judged it by the makeup style that Rare was going for. The owner of Juvia's Place, which is one, it's like a indie brand for makeup, posted a Instagram story saying, I said it before and I will say it again till my last day on earth. Some of these beauty influencers are truly unkind people. I'm talking from my years of just trying to make it in this industry. The arrogance, the ego, the pride. It's wild, it's baffling, it shocks me every time. I said it before and I'll say it again. Patrick Starr, you're a joke. I remember when I flew him, Manny MUA, to New York years ago. Can I say unkind, demanding, ridiculous? Oh, did I mention the extreme thirst for money? Glad Rare Beauty gave him a sip of his ridiculousness to me in a bold and classy way. I said what I said. Bye. At Patrick Starr, read and unread it or pretend like you didn't see it. Either way, you two are an unkind human, which is crazy. Apparently, the owner of Juvia's Place has caused some drama before, which means a lot of people are kind of turned off from buying from Juvia's Place, but I actually am not aware of all of that. I'll try to do my research on that just to see kind of how I feel about Juvia's Place, because I heard that eyeshadows are amazing, but if there's some drama behind the scenes, I don't want to contribute to that. But yeah, so it comes from both sides. Like, some people are saying that the owner of Juvia's Place is kind of problematic herself, but then people are saying that Patrick Star is unkind or that he's kind of fake. There is that clip of him at a meet and greet where he kind of just like waves a fan over and he's got like this, like he rolls his eyes and he just doesn't look happy to be there. So, you know, we never really know what these people are like in real life, and putting certain standards on your favorite YouTubers is kind of a bad idea because they will most definitely not live up to your standards. I think, yeah, it's kind of like, you know, there was that like saying where if you have like an idol, you just should never meet them because you'll be super disappointed. Next, Sola from Bon Appetit recently left Bon Appetit and now she's doing, I believe, like freelance work, and she was on New York Times Cooking, and it's Sola cooks 3 dishes that define her life. Cook My Life Challenge. I'm glad she's getting booked. She's booked and busy, and that's what I like to see. Bon Appetit really just missed out on one of their like best people. That's the tea. People's had an issue with this Nikita Dragon picture because she is a few shades too dark. This is her, but this is also her, and this is also her. That's not a natural tan, Nikita. I'm sorry to say it. I've seen a natural tan before and that is not it. But it's not like she ever learns from it because no one ever really truly cancels her, so it's just kind of like she just lives in this like controversy that she creates. The next thing is Shane Dawson dropped some new merch and it's not selling like a god church. Wow, I want to go back to those days when those diss tracks were coming out, because those were good days and we just didn't appreciate them, you know? So he dropped Spiraling merch while he's basically on a huge break. And this break is kind of like, I don't even know if he's coming back. Well, they filmed that video on Ryland's channel, but he's not coming back to his channel anytime soon, I'm telling you that. And yeah, he released some Spiraling merch, and only people that are like customers off his merch site, so like they already put the email in, got this email. So he didn't like put this on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere. He didn't promo this. It literally just went out in emails. So I wonder how many people bought this, but also isn't it kind of weird when you're like cancelled for the stuff that he has been cancelled for and you basically drop merch instead of coming back? That's crazy. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below anything you want to comment down below, and subscribe so I post videos whenever something happens. So that bell, you'll be notified when that's happening. Remember to go on buyraycon.com/Angelika Oles to get 15% off your first order. Links and anything else will be in the description, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.